Hello, everyone. This is I, Alvaro Cortez Jr., aka Lance Danger, and it has been a hot minute since I've done a live stream like this. Let's let's have a little draw stream. And today I wanted to experiment. I haven't been on Picarto since 2015-ish, 2016-ish, maybe 2014-ish. I know it was when the platform was starting out. I remember it was kind of messy trying to live stream over there. I don't know if I even have that original live stream saved somewhere. I probably do, like in an old drive or something. I guess I'll have to check that out. Anyway, I have been celebrating pretty much since all summer long, really, since the start of summer, the 18th anniversary of my webcomic, Fred Peterson, The Mighty Warlord. I've been doing a lot of things that I hope you guys have been enjoying. If this is the first time watching, welcome aboard. Fred Peterson, The Mighty Warlord is my webcomic. It is my love letter to superhero comics that I read growing up. There's a lot of slice of life. He's an everyman hero. He doesn't necessarily want to be a hero, but circumstances are pushing him to be more selfless and do these heroic acts. So that's pretty much the gist of Fred Pearson, the Mighty Warlord. There's a lot of romance, a lot of drama, and there's some action there as well. Let me go ahead and put some mood music here. I always like to put lo-fi music. Lower it a tad bit there. There we go. And what I am doing is actually an anniversary cover for Fred Peterson, the Mighty Warlord, just to catch you guys up on everything. Um, when I started doing the webcomic 2005, 2006 ish, I really wouldn't back it up much, and there wasn't that many things to use anyway. Not like nowadays that there's clouds all over the place where you can store stuff, and even like a very basic 2 gigabit thumb drive was like mad expensive back then. So I really didn't have that many options aside from burning it like on a CD or something like that, or using disk, like actual floppy disks and stuff like that, which I did at one point. But I used to live in Puerto Rico, and if you live in the Caribbean, you know there's a lot of storms that hits the Caribbean. So when there was like hurricanes or big rainstorms, usually my house, my mother's house would get flooded. And one such occasion, even though I tried my best to keep my artwork in a bin and also to keep my electronics on higher ground, it still got affected because there were water drops coming in through the roof, and it just destroyed 90% of the original art. It destroyed hard drives. Somehow it actually destroyed um CDs as well. I guess moisture got in between the layers of the CD or something. It's something very technical and weird, but yeah, it got ruined as well. So I basically had to, just leave the art as it was, the web friendly version, even though at that point I had published 3 comics from Warlord, which was, well, 4 really. The prologue, which is, of course, like kind of like a prose novel prologue that kind of like gives you a taste of what's to come, little introduction to the characters and the world around them, and a hint of what the plot is going to be. And also, I did a quote unquote 6 episode webisode, which were just 6 short stories that I did to kind of expand and complement the prologue and bridge to issue number 1. And then I printed out issue number 1 and issue 2 as well through Kablam. and sold it through Indie Planet. And again, I lost all that original artwork. I lost the files to that artwork that I had. The few backups that I had got messed up. So there was no way to actually make print copies of the webcomic because even though technically I could have used the web friendly low resolution images that I had of my webcomic and just blow it up and have it sold as a physical copy. And I've had colleagues and friends do that back then. And in my opinion, it just looked too blurry and even in some cases pixelated. And I thought to myself that if I was going to put my comic out there and actually charge people money for it, that I wanted to be the best possible comic I can put out there. So I decided to just hold back on printing it. And eventually, which is what I started doing a couple of years ago, I started to redraw the whole thing from scratch. And right now, I'm pretty much starting up on issue 2 of the redraws. And lo and behold, I found this new technology online where you can actually blow up low resolution images and it'll look as good as the original resolution that I had. So I went through that process of upscaling the images just to see how good it looked. And on the monitor, it looked spectacular. You know, I did the whole upscale process for the third chapter of Warlord. And just to kind of test it out, I sent it to Kablam because one thing is seeing it on the monitor. It's going to look nice on the monitor, relatively regardless. It's another thing when you actually hold a physical paper comic book. So a couple of weeks I got my copy of issue number 3 and it looks as good as any comic out there, you know, quality notwithstanding. I'm not saying that my comic book looks as good as a Jim Lee or David Finch or Jason Fabok or Gary Frank, Rick Capullo. You know, I'm not saying that the artwork looks as good as them, but the quality of the page itself, it looks like an actual comic book. It's not blurry, it's not pixelated. It came out almost as if I had just finished doing the illustration and had just finished printing it. It looked that pristine to me. So I've been slowly getting into the process of continuing where I left off. I've had quite a few people that are excited about it and that really want to continue reading where I left off the physical version. So yeah, I'm going to be planning more stuff like that. So I already sent the files for issue number 4. I should be getting my copies this week actually, or next, no, actually in a few weeks. I'm going to get my copy of the redraw of the prologue sometime this week. They'll be made available at Indie Planet as soon as they put it on their storefront. Though I could probably also order a few copies and maybe just sell it myself. Let's see what happens. But that kind of changed the schedule of everything I originally had planned to do. Because originally I was just going to do the redraws. After every arc, I would take a small break, make a collection of that arc into a manga sized volume, and continue on with the next story arc. But now that I can continue publishing from the point where I had left off all those years ago, and there's actually a lot of readers from the original webcomic that are still reading to this day that really wanted physical copies of the actual webcomic as well. So now I have to like kind of shuffle that schedule now. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to print out issues 3 and 4 after they're available for sale on Indie Planet. I'm going to do the manga-sized collection of the prologue all the way up through chapter 4, which comprises pretty much the first story within the overall arcing story of book 1 of Fred Peterson, the Mighty Warlord. And I'll be put that in a manga-sized volume. I'm still wondering when exactly to sell the remake. I'm thinking maybe sell the remake after I finish book 1 because I don't want to confuse people, and it also gives me the benefit of finishing up other stories and whatnot. We'll have to see because again, I don't want to put too much content out there to overwhelm people, especially if it's relatively the same thing. Because of course the art is going to be updated in the remake, and there are certain scenes that I'm going to change just so that the story could flow better. But again, I don't want to be selling the same thing twice at the same time. I'm not George Lucas in the 2000s, okay? I want to like pretty much do one thing and then have this other thing. But we'll see. I'll sort it out, and if anyone has any suggestions, you're definitely open to tell me. I don't know if Picarto is going to automatically save this stream, but I am recording this stream as it goes. I will re-upload it as a replay on my main YouTube channel. And so, what is this that I have on my screen right now? I'm actually going to do a special 18th anniversary holofoil cover for Fred Pearson, the Mighty Warlord issue number 1. And this is pretty much how it's looking like. Kablam does offer a hologram cover option as well. So what I did is that I took the files of the original issue 1 that I had sold through Kablam and Indie Planet, and I gave it the same treatment of upscaling. So it's going to be looking as good as that first issue that came out, but I'm going to do a special holofoil 18th anniversary cover, and that's what we're looking at right now. The process that they do at Kablam, as I saw on their video, is that they actually print on a fixed page already where they have all the holographic effects already in place. So you kind of have to play with it a little bit, which is why if you look at the image at the screen right now, Warlord is kind of more upwards in the page where the logo usually goes, because since you have to kind of play around with the hologram on the page since it's fixed, they do give you the option that the back cover you could include artwork free of charge. Usually they charge you for putting an original illustration as the back cover, but since it's a whole fixed page, free of charge you can put whatever you want in that back page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the main image of Fred as Warlord, of course, kind of jumping towards the reader, kind of like begging to be bought. And in the back cover, that's where like the logo will go, like 18th anniversary celebration, what have you, hoo-ha. As you can see, I already have the undersketch there. Let me go ahead and lower the opacity so I can do a new layer. The sketch layer. I do have a Bluetooth. I do have a Bluetooth keyboard, so sometimes while I'm illustrating, it will kind of get disconnected until I quote unquote wake it up again. I'm going to do a quick layer to sketch out. And if I don't get to finish because I have like a bunch of stuff to do, what I will do is that What I will do is that I'll just continue where I left off, like tomorrow morning or something. Because I want to try to do like consistent. It's a little too big. Consistent streams with you all. So I'll probably just pick up where I left off. I don't really have to do the eye here, but since just to kind of give myself, if you've never seen Warlord's design before, like this whole area here that I'm marking out, that really goes all completely black. All right. Quick little sketch. I used to kind of hate drawing hands, but actually ever since My Hero Academia came out, I actually kind of enjoy drawing hands and kind of make more of an effort to draw better hands because I just absolutely love the artwork of My Hero Academia. And the mangaka, one of his favorite things to draw is actually hands. I think I just admired him just for that fact of saying that hands are his favorite thing to illustrate, which is why one of the main antagonists, basically in the beginning of the manga, yes, basically his motif was he had a bunch of hands hanging all over him. Quite honestly, one of the coolest villain designs I've probably ever seen. Let's put some cake on Warlord. I don't want Nightwing to be the only male character to have a nice booty. What you gonna do with all that junk? All that junk inside your trunk. Warlord is too bootylicious for y'all. Hey, I gotta sell books. Okay, don't judge. Feet used to also be a huge problem for me, but ever since I was at the School of Visual Arts, I've kind of gotten the hang of it better than I used to. There you go. Just kind of like the basic shape of what I'm going to be doing. It's going to be, again, a relatively simple because, again, you can't do too much because, again, since it's a fixed holographic effect, I think I made that fist a little too big. Since it is a fixed holographic effect, let's see. Since it is a fixed holographic effect, you don't want to cover too much of the cover. Okay, that looks about right. That looks better at least. you don't want to cover up the majority of the holographic effect. Okay, that's much better, in my opinion. This is just the undersketch. I try not to do the undersketch too detailed since I'm going to be inking over it. Throwing some digital inks on it. Okay. I'm doing it this way because when you look at like the holographic portion of it, a big part of it is going to be around here. Where I drew that circle right now is pretty much like one of the places, the main place where one of the kind of like holographic burst is going to be coming from. So I go ahead and put it there because I wanted to almost look like he's jumping from that point of the holographic burst, if that makes sense. You undo that. Speaking of Greg Capullo, his art was so killer on Wolverine Revenge. I really enjoy Jonathan Hickman's writing, but I am confused with the timeline. It's definitely in the past, but there are, not to give away spoilers, there are some things that kind of don't make sense continuity wise. Let me connect my keyboard again so I can do the inks layer. Actually, for the anniversary of my webcomic, I went ahead and made soundtracks for my webcomic. I'm wondering if I should like figure out how to actually play that soundtrack while I'm illustrating. I probably need to do like a different streaming, like maybe OBS or something. I don't know. I'm using StreamYard right now. Technically, I could just upload the music and play it track by track here on StreamYard. We'll see. Right. Making the mist somewhere. There you go. Right. Always so much fun to be drawing. Speaking of Jason Fabok, has anyone read any of the Ghost Machine comics? The Rook, the artwork just looks so spectacular. Rook Exodus. Actually, let me make the ink a little thicker for the hands, since that's pretty much the foreground. Right. Here you go. Righty there. This chest plate. Do more down here. I'm not gonna bother in putting too much detail just yet until I finish the actual outline of the figure. It's pretty much how I do it. Let me lower this again now. So again, try to give like some line weight to this, like there's some dimension to the character. Right. I think that's pretty much what I'm going to do, at least for this stream. I'm just going to pretty much do the outline, at least, of the character. And then tomorrow, I'll go more into detail, defining the character more. Because I have a lot of stuff that I have to catch up with, art wise. So I don't have like a huge amount of time. I wanted to kind of just test streaming today, just to make sure that everything is on the up and up. You know, make sure that everything is streaming properly at the scenes it is. That's pretty much how the image is going to be. Like, before I put in too much detail, I will kind of fix a thing here and there. Try to be careful of not doing too many tangent lines. Alright, let me go ahead and take a look back. Check this puppy out. Alrighty. I think this is a good place to go ahead and stop this. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you all next time.